Good evening, good everyone. Everyone, welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Mr. Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for you, especially you people here who are watching the replay on Periscope. We appreciate you very much. We appreciate all those of you who are watching us here on Facebook Live, and also those of you who are tuned in to the audio on WIGO AM 1570, Atlanta's Incredible Radio, as we broadcast to you live from the lockdown living room, and also simulcasting on multiple portals. We're on Facebook Live, we're on Periscope, we're on YouTube, we be everywhere. And so again, we are very, very excited, and we thank God for those of you who decided to watch us here on this broadcast. I'm the minister, Jonathan Simmons. That is correct. I do be a real live minister, preacher of the gospel, but also a sports guy. Love talking sports, and we're going to be talking with a couple of key guest guys that are always ready to come in and help us out in our program. We were talking a little basketball with Deshaun Tate from Tate Takes Sports and Tate Takes Hoops, I should say. And also in the second half of the show, we'll be talking to the one and only D Orlando Ledbetter. He's going to talk to us about the Falcons and talking about the NFL training camps that are open up, because the NFL training camps are open up right now. It's on and popping in the NFL, and the players now have to make some decisions about what they're going to do. We'll talk about that in the second half. And again, we thank you for joining us here. Now, one thing I saw that was kind of interesting, we cover high school sports. And last year we actually did the broadcast for Clayton County High School football. We did a lot of coverage with them. We did live broadcasts. And the interesting thing is that the Clayton County has went ahead and said, hey, we are going to have football. Not just Clayton County, the whole state of Georgia have told high school football, come on, let's go. So high school football, as of this moment, is going to be on live and popping. So we look forward to getting out there and hopefully covering high school football. And, I got some, I don't know what your thoughts are. I got some thoughts about, doing this. The thing that's interesting about this whole thing with high school football is you kind of wonder, is this good for the kids? Now, here's the thing. We do know that kids need to be out. All of us talk about, getting out there and playing. We talk about the NFL does, I think it's Play 360. So certainly we want the kids to come out and to play. But I just want to make sure that the doggone thing is safe. That's the main thing I think that everybody really wants to make sure of. Is it safe to come out for these kids to play? Because I heard something very interesting from the coach of Tucker High School. And for those of you not from the Atlanta area, Tucker High School is a legendary program. They do a phenomenal job of competing every year in the state tournament. So his thoughts and his comments are certainly something that we should consider. And that's Coach Brian Lamar. And what he said basically is, he says, okay, here's the thing. If it's not safe for kids to go back to school, how on earth then is it safe for the kids to play football? And really, to be honest with you, the whole thing, I know we talk about this every week, but I'm just trying to wrap my ears around it like you guys are. I'm trying to think, is this really the best thing to do for us to be trying to play sports right now? Several coaches have said, hey, why don't we postpone the season until the spring? We've gotten through the entire flu and cold season, because y'all already know that anybody that has any type of flu-like symptoms are going to immediately rush into the hospital to make sure they don't have the COVID. So you're going to get hospitals that are swamped. You're going to have people who are nervous. People are panicking. And let's face it, in none of the fall sports can you really practice social distancing. I mean, because football, you have to tackle people. That's the thing that really is kind of funny about the whole idea about us playing football and basketball, sports where you have to be in close proximity to people. You can't keep any kind of social distancing. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm trying to be sensible here. But nevertheless, we're going to do everything we can to go ahead and cover the kids and get out there and like I said, cover the high school sports. So good Lord willing, we will be right in the middle of it. We have made some promises to people that we would live stream the broadcast, and so we're going to do all we can to, in fact, do that. So hopefully you will join us as well. And again, we thank God for those of you who are listening on all the platforms. First of all, we want to give a big shout out to all the folks that are listening to the audio only. They can't see us. Those are the folks at WIGO 1570, Atlanta's Incredible Radio. They broadcast, and I should say we broadcast, just 20 miles southeast from downtown Atlanta. We're right smack dab in the middle of it, and we thank God for those people who are listening via that portal. So we again thank God for you, and we also thank God for those who are listening on the TuneIn Radio. That's right, guys. We are on an app. If you are looking for us, you can find us on the TuneIn Radio app. It's a free app. Put in WIGO 1570 in the search engine, and voila, you'll find us broadcasting to you right here and right now. So again, check us out. If you're out and about, we would love to have you join us on the app. It says the TuneIn Radio app. Come on, man. It's a free app. You can download it at any time. So we appreciate you so much, those of you who have, again, decided to check us out and join us. Well, like I said, in a few minutes, we're going to have Deshaun Tate from Tate Sports that's going to jump on the bandwagon with us and join us here on the broadcast. He's going to talk to us about what he's seen in the NBA bubble. I don't know about you, man, but I try to watch this whole NBA thing, and to me, man, it looks like I'm watching like rec league. It really does. I mean, I know they got like some fake fans happening and stuff like that, but it looks like the rec league. I'm not trying to be harsh on anybody. I know the NBA is trying to do the best they can, but man, it looks like, the announcing sound kind of funny. To me, it even looked worse than preseason games. And preseason really is not that hype. But yeah, I'm just telling you, man, this whole thing that they're trying to do is they're trying to get that money. And I can understand it. It's a big. They have spent oodles of money in the agreement with the cable companies and with TV, so they have to play these games. But I mean, like I said, just watching them, I don't know about you. It's been tough for me to watch them. How about you? Have you been able to enjoy the basketball games? Have you checked them out so far? Have you liked what you've seen? Let me know here. You can comment here on the page, and I will certainly pop up your comments here on the page, either from Periscope or from Facebook, either one. So if you have some comments, let us know what's cooking. What do you think? Have you enjoyed the NBA so far? Let me go and pop that out here. Have you enjoyed watching the NBA so far? I have not. Like I said, again, to me, it looks like I'm just watching my local rec league play. The sounds are kind of crazy. And it's interesting. You really don't realize how the sounds of the broadcast hype everything up until you try to watch these games. And to me, that's what I'm missing. I'm missing the crowd. I'm missing the sports announcers and the calls of the game when someone makes a big dunk or a block. I don't feel that same energy now, from what I'm watching. I just don't. I'm not feeling it at all. So that's my question to you. Have you enjoyed the NBA on TV so far? I'm going to pop it up on the screen for those of you watching, again, on Facebook or on Periscope. We're going to put the question right there. Have you enjoyed the NBA on TV thus far? Let me know. Put your comments in. We'd love to bring you on and let you talk to us about what you have, what your opinions are. And again, we are waiting patiently for our first guest of the evening, Mr. Deshaun Tate, to join us and talk to us a little bit about what he has seen so far in the NBA bubble. He's also going to talk to us about a great interview that he had with Jay Bilas from ESPN. He's going to talk to us. He had a great interview with him earlier today, so we're going to hopefully get him to come on and talk to us and break it down for what he thinks is going on in the bubble. Me personally, like I say, I'm not enjoying it really at all. What do you think? Are you enjoying watching the NBA on TV thus far? Let me know what you think about that, boys and girls. Okay, here's something I found very interesting. I'm going to try to see if I can put this up on the screen for you watching. Georgia opened up their schools today, and I think it's went viral already on social media. But Paulding County schools, matter of fact, if you try to put in Paulding County, immediately pulls up right away. And they even have a little thing, Paulding schools, coronavirus. It just looks real crazy. Okay. I don't know what was going on. It was saying here that Paulding County students must attend class while doing home virtual learning. So actually are forced to come into school. And the crazy thing is that it really looked like a madhouse. I mean, there were like students everywhere. All the pictures I saw on social media, I was like, what the what? It just looked real crazy. I mean, they were just students, no social distancing, no nothing. They were just all jam-packed together. It was just a real, crazy situation. I'm going to try to get that picture up here. You can hear the news in the background. We're going to share that page in just a second. So I let you guys can actually see the craziness of all these kids, just like I said, jam-packed in the school like it was just a regular situation. I mean, it was just it was just real incredible. I couldn't believe it. What do you think about the idea of kids going back to school already? You think it's too soon? Do you think the kids should be, jammed into school like this? Again, I'm looking to try to get some pictures here. Of course, anytime I try to do some little bit of something to try to bring you guys some pictures and video, those of you who are watching on Facebook and Periscope, my technology is not working. But yeah, it was a madhouse here. Let me see if I got the picture. I think I got the picture. And I'm going to let you guys look at this in just a moment. Click on this picture from the AJC. And it looks real crazy. I mean, it looks real crazy, boys and girls. Let me see if I can get this up here and let you guys take a look at it. But it looks like just regular school, like nothing different, nothing going on, just a regular day in the neighborhood here. And you'll see here as I pop this picture up, the parents are not social distancing. Nobody's wearing masks. Nobody's doing anything at all. So let's see if I can get this picture popped up here. Let's share the screen here. And we're going to go to a Chrome tab. And hopefully you guys will see this in just a moment here. I hope you guys can see it there. There's the picture right there. You guys can see the picture. Oh, let me go this way. You guys can see the picture. There it is. You can see all those students coming in. They are in no way social distancing. Everybody, you can see parents walking in like everything's A-okay. So, like I'm telling you, man, I mean, a lot of people are really not taking this seriously. This is what I think. I think people just believe, hey, man, it's not going to happen to me or my kids. I don't care. And so we are tired of being in the house and we just want to be outside. And like I said, again, I understand you've been cooped up for a while, but to me, just look at the scene here, guys. Look at all them kids just walking in. Like I said, no social distancing, no nothing. So I'm just saying, what do you think about that? What do you think about all these kids? Forget about the NBA on TV for a second. What do you think about kids going back to school? What do you think about that? About kids going back to school with no social distancing, no masks, no PPEs? Okay, do you think it's a good idea for kids to go back to school like this? Or do you think that we're making too much ado about nothing? To me, what I think about when I think about kids going back to school, you think about those of you who are either parents or grandparents that have kids. How many times have kids come home from school sniffling, snuffling, and got everybody in the house sick? Everybody got sick because kids are like disease magnets. I'm just telling you, man. It's just they are just disease magnets, and so it's the idea that you're going to send these kids back to school and not spread this virus around. To me, seems to be a little crazy, and I just think to some degree it may not be a wise thing. Now, let me just put a caveat on this. Let me put a little caveat. There are many places, like maybe this is one of them, where the coronavirus has not had the same impact that it's had in other communities, because we do know that coronavirus effect has been exacerbated in poor communities, which primarily are minorities, people of color, Black people and brown people. And so the effects of the coronavirus have been much more savage in these areas versus areas where there is better health care, better lifestyle. You don't have as much stress. You don't have as much pollution in some cases. So the effect of the coronavirus has not been as lethal as it has been in a lot of areas, especially in inner city areas, and especially in areas where there's a lot of poor people. So again, I can understand a lot of people in more affluent communities are like, hey, man, it's not hitting us. But at the end of the day, if you're going to do that, how are you going to play sports? Because you play kids that are across counties. You're going to play kids even in your same county that don't have that same living situation. So I'm not sure you're going to do this. Again, I'll pop it up on the screen. What do you think about kids going back to school, that should be, without PPEs and without social distancing? What do you think about that? I'd like to hear your comments. Put them up in the screen. I'll be more than happy to read them to you as we go along here on this program. And again, we thank God for all those of you who are listening to us on WIGO AM 1570, Atlanta's Incredible Radio. Also, for those of you watching on Periscope, which is Twitter TV, thank God for each and every one of you. And of course, all of those of you who are watching here on Facebook Live, many blessings to you and to your familias as you watch us here and share this broadcast. Especially many thanks to the people who share this on multiple pages. We're just, again, so thankful to you, for doing what you do and for spreading this broadcast around. Again, we're getting set and waiting for our first guest of the evening, Mr. Deshaun Tate, to talk to us about the NBA bubble and what he has seen, what his sensibilities are about the bubble. We're going to have him kind of talk to us also about a wonderful interview that he had with Jay Bilas from ESPN. So we look forward to having Deshaun Tate joining us in just a moment here on the broadcast. Again, you're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show as we broadcast to you live from Atlanta's Incredible Radio, WIGO 1570, also on Facebook Live as well. We're going to take a little break here as we get ready to get to our next portion of the broadcast. So keep it locked right here for more of the Real Talking Sports Show. Stay tuned.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
All right, not quite sure what happened to our announcement there, but evidently we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. So we cannot have the air go blank. So we're back to you here now on the Real Talk Sports Show, talking sports we always do. And again, waiting for our special guest, Mr. Deshaun Tate, to join us here, talk to us about what his sensibilities are about the NBA bubble and about all the things that are going on in the NBA basketball. Again, my own personal opinion, I stated when I first came on the broadcast, to me, it just doesn't look right. I mean, it just looks blasé. I don't see the energy. I don't really hear the energy. And I'm just thinking, man, sports is not the same by the crowd. I mean, because you think about how many times teams talk about, you know, when you come into their home, that it's that they got the home court advantage because the crowd is rocking, everything's on and popping, and it's just that energy that I don't see. And like you said, when I watch the NBA right now, don't get me wrong, I've seen some nice dunks. I've seen Zion kind of handling his business right. But it just, to me, seems and feels like the rec league. I don't know who put together that stadium, but it looks cheap. They got the cardboard thing working behind it, man, with the pictures. I'm not feeling it. I'm just saying. Well, anyway, listen, we want to go to our basketball expert because I'm sure he has a different sensibility than I do. Deshaun Tate, a long time, I don't want to date him because he's not that old, but he has been a long time contributor for basketball across this nation. Formerly with 92.9 The Game, the Atlanta flagship station for the Atlanta Hawks and lots of sports. But he's been on TV here in Atlanta, in the Detroit metro area, and does a big-time blog, Tate Takes Hoops. The one and only Deshaun Tate is in the building, sir. Welcome to the show.
Man, thank you so much for having me, Rev. Per usual, man, you running all those accomplishments down and all that stuff. Real good. Putting the little parsley flakes over it and everything, making it sound real good for your boy. So I appreciate it, man.
Hey, listen, man. We're gonna bring you on, bro. We gotta give you that juice. We can't just have you come on in any kind of way. We got to bring on, and you richly deserve, man, because the Lord has really blessed you in these last few years, man, to really have some huge platforms. You've been on sports TV, and I know you got to feel great, man, to come back to your home state and to be able to be seen by your peers and family and friends. I know that was a big high for you to have that happen. And then, of course, man, be able to talk to, you know, the guy. I mean, you pulled off the interview earlier today. I know you're supposed to be basking the glow, talking with Jay, walking down that 90 feet. Talk to us a little bit about what that was like earlier today.
Yeah, man, just first with what you were saying in regards to just the blessings I've been getting, dude. I want to make sure I preface it by saying this first is that, you know, I turned age 36 2 days ago, man. And I'm blessed to be able to say that. There's a lot of people who didn't see half of that age, let alone the age that I am. And there's some people who didn't wake up this morning. There's some people who haven't gotten out of 2020. We're going to look back on this thing and say you were really blessed, as we're telling our kids and grandkids one day that, you know, we were really blessed that we had the opportunity to see 2021 and get out of 2020. But So I am overly thankful and grateful for some of the things I've gotten opportunities to do. I had Rick Kamla on from NBA TV, Sirius XM NBA Radio, Channel 86 earlier from Give and Go. On today and yesterday had on Jay Billis, ESPN college basketball analyst. So it's been a blessing, man. I'm doing all of this without that little sheet of paper of a degree, and that's not poo-pooing on anybody who has it. But that just goes to show that, you know, God is still in control. There's still good things happening in 2020. We're breaking down all the stuff in regards to the NBA, the bubble, what the future could potentially look like for the NFL, for college football, for college basketball, and how this whole bubble thing has been really successful, and even how potentially how the opportunity that some athletes on the collegiate level will get an opportunity to be paid off a name, image, and likeness. How does that measure up versus the G League and offering, you know, a nice chunk of change to a lot of athletes, elite level, high athletes too. So it's been good, man. It's been a blessing. If you want to go check that out, feel free anywhere that you go and find your favorite podcast, that being iTunes, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify at Tate's Take.
Well, man, you broke down a lot of areas there, so let's chop them up one at a time here. So first of all, let's talk about the NBA bubble. A lot of people think I was throwing some shade earlier, but maybe it's me because of my age, being so used to watching the hype that goes on around the NBA, growing up as a college age student, to see the beginning of the Larry Bird area, being a millennial, to be right smack dab in the middle of the transition from him to the Bad Boys to Michael Jordan. And I can just remember NBA Game of the Week, the hype, just this pomp and circumstance, and then these showdowns, these massive showdowns against future Hall of Famers. And I'm just, when I turn on now, I'm like, what that call that again? Well, who? Mm-hmm. It just looked like somebody kind of said, hey, we went to LeBron's house and put a court in the backyard. That's how it kind of feels to me. But what do you feel, man, as a basketball savant, a guy that really enjoys the game and covers the game? What's your feel and take about it?
Well, first of all, I've never been in a position where I see that we have basketball around my birthday in August. So I'm happy about that in general. And just the fact that we're having basketball. I mean, sometimes I feel like, how dare we be so selfish sometimes to be able to nitpick when there's people out here losing their lives and so forth, that we want basketball so back. But not only do we want basketball back, but we want it back how we want it back. We want it back the old way, where we have more of that in-house or in arena feeling. Yes, it does have somewhat similar of a AAU feel, of a summer league feel, and things like that, pickup game or whatever, what have you. But we have basketball back, and the games are counting. More importantly, the fact that not only is no one getting hurt in terms of injuries, not too much. I think we've seen a couple, Jonathan Isaac amongst some others, but the COVID cases have been down. There hasn't been any positive COVID cases as of late, which is always a positive. Let's keep our fingers and everything's crossed, fingers and toes and everything's crossed there. But they're working with the best that they have. We get it, the virtual fans thing. It looks kind of corny. It looks stupid and whatever, what have you. There's no true home court. So while a lot of people are not going to be fans of that, that could do nothing but just make it for more intriguing and entertaining basketball down the stretch, where this year's champion, could be someone that we really didn't expect because of the lack of home court, and there's more of a balance. So I'm just happy to see that basketball is back in general. And I think that a lot of people with the consensus would agree with that.
Well, like I said, again, you're right. I mean, some of that is just being, I don't want to say be a spoiled, but just, again, from growing up and being so used to that type of feel. But the other thing that kind of came to me is, sometimes I told people as I was coming up, man, I always said, I don't want to be like the old man in the barbershop. To be honest, when I was a kid, them cats they were mad about everything. Everything was better in their day. Everything's no good now. And what kind of hit me, even as I was listening to you talk, I have to remember that we're in the age of NBA, 2K, all that kind of stuff. All this, the way that the video games that when we were little kids, we were kind of, even not a kids and adult, we kind of had the Sega and stuff like that. And if we had what everybody has now with the way the graphics are and so lifelike, and the realities are, that's what hit me the other night when I watched it. It felt like someone had transported me and put me into a video game. That was with the camera angles, and because the court was kind of almost surreal. So I got to think to myself, if you're a millennial or if you're under 30, that actually might be a better watching experience for you. And that might be something that kind of, is more what you're used to, versus an OG like me who's thinking, oh, yeah, man, I'm looking for Boston Garden Field. Hey, younger cats, they might be thinking, man, Minister, you missing it. This is hype right here.
Yeah, man, it's crazy to think about, what it has come to and all of the things that have been put into it. Again, I give so much credit to the people that are putting this together just so we can have the most realistic experience in basketball over the course of the next, 2 or 3 months or whatever it is as possible, because I can't imagine that was really easy to pull off. And not only that, but just knowing that you have a lot of eyes in a lot of eyes on you. You know that if this thing falls through and does not work out and it fails, this is going to be the same reason behind why everybody said, I don't know why they did that anyway. It's going to be so easy after something fails to point the finger at why it failed, or why would you even do it in the first place? All the other leagues saying, why would they even do that or put them in this position to where they can test positive for COVID or fail for this reason or that reason? But so far it's been working out in their favor. So it's been, obviously really good. I was kind of curious to know how other leagues and organizations, franchises and so forth are going to try to follow suit and I guess kind of mirror the exact same thing the NBA has done. But I can't see, the NFL or just football in general, even college basketball with all the teams trying to mimic the same thing by putting all of these people in a bubble where you have so many more football staff and football players and everything else than you do basketball. It seems like basketball seems to be the only thing that works. And for me, that's just fine.
Now, speaking about the bubble, it does appear that the bubble got burst last week. We had a gentleman that is from the Atlanta area that came home and said, hey, I had a family situation. And evidently that family situation involved eating some wings at an establishment that was not only known for its wings, but known for its legs and its breast and Magic City.
You did say thighs, right?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the thighs.
Don't forget about the thighs. Thighs is a big deal in the South, brother. Thighs is a big deal in the South.
And the thicker the better. Oh, Minister got to come back. Let me take a few something. But yeah, so what do you think about this? And again, evidently, the Marlins said, well, if it's good enough for Lou Will, it's good enough for us. Now, we don't know if they went to Magic City. That's not been confirmed. But certainly several Miami Marlins players decided that Atlanta will be a good spot to break the baseball bubble. So going forward, NFL, you talk about what can they learn, even the NBA, how can you kind of control this? Is the snitch line enough? I mean, what can you do to get players to understand that, hey, man, we are under dire situations here and we're trying to keep things together?
I don't know. I mean, when you start talking about the snitch line, I'm not sure how much that's really being used anymore these days. I feel like everybody's pretty much been on their best behavior with the exception. I know people are going to point the fingers at Lou Will about the wings and whatever else, what have you. But I don't realistically see a way that this whole thing can be mimicked by other organizations. And even more so, I don't think that that's the idea that they, I don't think that that's the direction that they really want to go in, to be honest with you. So saying all of that, like I said, it seems to be working out for specifically for basketball, and we're maybe doing something here in Atlanta for the sake of baseball and so forth or whatever. I mean, I'm a little bit outside of that realm. I don't want to be the person to go off and give some answers just for the sake of giving them that holds no weight and it's just a bunch of fluff, because I really don't know how that part works. But I will say enough to say that as long as they're doing it in a safe fashion and manner, then I say you have to go out here and try. Everything's going to fail if you don't try. I've learned from some very wise people over time that you are going to miss every shot you don't take. Now, I do understand that we're talking about lives being at stake here, so it's a little bit different. However, you can only do the best job that you can and control what you can control. So I say you give it a chance and let adults be adults by making adult decisions.
All right. Well, speaking of that, let's go here now to what is the real brass tacks. So the teams are playing now. We know to resume the end of the season. Who have you seen? What team and what players have really caught your attention so far in this bubble?
Well, I've seen a little bit of everybody. One thing I said this on your show before, and I told you with the whole COVID-19 thing happening, that's kind of even the playing field in a sense, or balanced a lot of stuff out where we know that COVID does not see skin color, COVID does not see bank accounts, COVID does not see any of that. So what it did was I think that it kind of forced a lot of these millionaire athletes to be kind of somewhat on the same level as people who just going to work, working every day, me and you, 9 to 5. And so, it's affected everybody that, we all know someone who's either had COVID or passed away from it or know somebody else who did. But I wanted to know who that inspired. Who did this whole pandemic inspire the most? And then not even more so, but even taking it back, who did this whole the Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary, especially for a lot of these guys in the league right now that are of younger age and didn't even get a chance to see Michael Jordan growing up. Who did that inspire, that documentary? It appears that TJ Warren from the Indiana Pacers, it seems that it probably inspired him. Looking at Devin Booker, this is a team that with the Phoenix Suns that is 3-0 since, play has resumed. They clearly are inspired. History shows me that Houston won't really be a team that will be a threat to win a championship in terms of a world championship in the finals. But, they've been just on a rampage as of late as well, seeing what Westbrook and Harden and, that heavy offense and very little defense from Mike D'Antoni and that system with having a guy out there at 6'6" or 6'7" playing center with no Eric Gordon from 3. They've been looking pretty good. So between OKC, Phoenix for sure, and Houston, those have definitely been 3 teams, especially out west, that I think have really been coming to play.
I mean, I think everybody's eyes are going to be obviously on Houston because you have such marquee players. You got 2 of the best players in the league with James Harden and with Westbrook. So yeah, man, it's going to be interesting. Okay, now let's get back to the 800-pound gorilla, the Giants of the West. We saw the clash of the 2 LA teams, who I think everybody pretty much agrees are the 2 best teams in the league, Clippers and the Lakers. What do you see out of those 2 teams, and do you think it's going to really get down to those 2 at the end of the season? Because I think the format is different with the playoffs this year. Isn't that right? The format's a little different.
It is, and I'm not sure that they're the 2 best players in the league. I mean, maybe in the West, but I'm not sure about in the league.
Oh, snap. What?
Well, I mean, you got a Milwaukee team who arguably has the best record in the whole NBA. So, I mean, you got to give some credit to them there. It's not for no reason. But regardless of that fact, there's some teams that can potentially be some upsetters. Now, do I think if Portland finds a way to get in the last spot in 8th place, that they will beat out the Los Angeles Lakers? No. But do I think they can take them to 6 or 7 games? Absolutely. And I think that they hold a little bit more weight than the Pelicans do, because they have a nice balance of youth with their talent, with the experience and veteran leadership. Now, as far as the LA Clippers go, yes, they're a really good defensive team, but they're missing out on a couple pieces between Montrezl Harrell as well, and still trying to get some other guys back. Of course, you have the same thing with the Lakers, who are missing their perimeter defenders in Rajon Rondo and Avery Bradley. So these are teams that got their work cut out for them. Oklahoma City is not going to be a joke. They're not coming to play around with anybody. And if they run up on one of those teams, they're definitely going to give them a little bit more than, bite off a little bit more than they can chew.
Like I said, man, I think it's going to be an interesting showdown here as we get towards the end of the season. I think for me, I think I'll probably be more engaged. Obviously we all do, because the playoffs bring a certain amount of hype to them. They bring a certain amount of excitement. And then, of course, the level of play increases. There's no doubt about it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to go on. I noticed you didn't mention nobody from the East except for the Bucks. I guess the East once again is looking low and slow, bro.
No, well, no, not necessarily. I'm sitting here looking. I mean, everybody's saying, they believe. A lot of people don't believe in Toronto, even though Toronto was coming off of, to resume the season again, 14 or 15 games in a row. They did just beat the crap out of the Lakers a couple nights ago. So while they're up there, a lot of people feel like the only other team outside of Toronto that can maybe challenge Milwaukee is the Boston Celtics. And right now, the Boston Celtics are getting their brains beat in going into the 4th quarter, down by 10 points to Miami, who shoots really, really hot from outside. Bam Adebayo. I mean, you have 3-point shooters out on the perimeter. really underrated players. I mean, they're right there as well. How about the job that the Indiana Pacers have been doing? Victor Oladipo is actually playing. They're without their second best player in Domantas Sabonis, who's out with an injury and was an all-star this year. But of course, TJ Warren steps up for them and scores 53 points in a game and not look bad last night with 34. So I know it's a lot of information. It's a lot of moving parts and a lot of layers to the onion, a lot to keep up with, but that's what I'm here for. So there are some other teams in the East that can compete. If I'm taking Milwaukee or the field, I think I'm going to take the field on this one.
Oh, well, there it is from our basketball savant, letting you know, guys, that it's going to come right down to the wire. Not picking any favorites yet. We're going to press him as we get close to the playoffs. He's going to pick somebody for us. But right now, we're going to let Savant go nice and slime, be cool. But listen, now, so let's transition a little bit again to I like to call it a personal triumph, having Jay Billas on, a guy that I know that you enjoy watching, a guy who was like yourself, a basketball savant, so to speak. What was that like going 90 feet with him?
No, it was great, man. It was. You know, you've definitely got your little butterflies and whatnot. I mean, we're talking about A-list guests, and anybody that comes on Tate's Take where basketball lives is an A-list guest. Make no mistake about it. But obviously a guy who knows what he's talking about, knows what he's doing, and been in the game for a really long time. Extremely intelligent, very funny, and loves rap music. So that's always a plus in my book as well. But you know what? I will say enough to say that that I'm very thankful that he came on to the show with me and was just very, very kind and blessed us with his presence, because we learned a lot. We learned especially where he doesn't necessarily always feel that the G League will necessarily be interrupted or threatened by the name, image, and likeness of what the NCAA is trying to propose. And even more so, just the fact that, it appears that he's a pro athlete, he's pro student athlete rather, where he's definitely for the student athletes and making sure that what's best for them. And in this day and age, you don't really get a lot of that. I was going to say something else, but I think I'm kind of drawing a blank a little bit, but I do think that it is very important that you go and check that out. Like I said, anywhere that you find your favorite podcast, Tate's Take, the podcast, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Red Circle, Stitcher, whatever. I like to think that it is the best informational and educational basketball content in the form of a podcast. And I appreciate my brother down there, Eddie Powell, giving me a happy belated birthday. Thank you very much. And I just give all that credit to the good Lord himself, because without him, there's no way.
There's no doubt. Yeah, we got to give a big shout out to Easy E. Also a great basketball reporter. Guy does, matter of fact, he's now also joined us here on Facebook Live, works with Chicks in Sports. They do a great show that focuses on, I think it's called Dreaming in Atlanta, focuses on Atlanta Dream. So it's bringing you some WNBA coverage. So again, check them out. Again, it's called, I think it's called Atlanta Dreaming. Check them out on Facebook. It is Hawks Beat. Eddie Powell is the CEO and lead producer, and Chicks in Sports. So they have combined to bring their resources together to bring you some great sports talk about the Atlanta Dream and everything women's basketball. I got to tell you, man, women's basketball, if it wasn't for this pandemic, I think, man, women's basketball would be killing it right now, man, because see what they have, they right now might have something that it's kind of always that magic elixir for women's sports. And women's sports always has to draw that line between being great athletes and being, let's face it, attractive. Because the transition in my lifetime is amazing. When I first grew up watching like the best female athletes were from the Eastern European country. They looked like men. They were doing all kinds of stuff and hitting decreasing the hormones. But now, really, I think it really started about 20 or 30 years ago with the late Flojo, great track star here in the United States, that showed that a woman can be glamorous and fast or strong or can dunk a basketball or whatever. And of course, in the WNBA, Lisa Leslie took that torch on as well, and Candace Parker. And now, of course, actually from right here to Metro Atlanta, out with the Sparks, I think is going to be the next new kind of it gal. Look for Tia Cooper to be making some noise there as well. So yeah, man, it's I just think WNBA is well positioned. Now, speaking of that, let's give our brother another shameless plug here. It's called at ATL Dreamin'. That's with Hawks Beat and Chicks Into Sports collabing. So we want to make sure to give them a shout out, because one of the things that everybody, the other thing, Deshaun, as you know, besides the pandemic, has been a lot about politics and social justice. So I kind of think to myself, okay, what can I do? I'm not, I'm kind of OG now, so I have to kind of approach it a little bit differently. I kind of how I do things. But one of the things I thought about is one of the reasons why I'm so happy that all you guys wanted to come on the show. From time to time, they talk about media apartheid and black people being blacked out. But I want to make sure to let people know that here in Atlanta, that we have plenty of powerful voices here in black media. And it's really my intent to start off by accident, but really it's my intent to every single week to bring someone like yourself, like Eddie, or from Chicks in Sports, or, all the guys down the road haven't come on yet. So we want to bring everybody on, let people know there's a lot going on here with black media, that not just at, some level like, BET Sports or something like that, but right here locally, the access that we're able to get here as local sports reporters, I think is really a great thing. And we give kudos to all the Atlanta sports teams, both collegiate and pro, that allow us to kind of do their business. But yeah, we want to bring people on. We want to let black voices come on. Not that we don't want other people to come on as well, but for so long, I think in front of the camera, the presenters telling the stories, we haven't been able to do that. So man, I appreciate you from attacking this, man. You named about 22,000 different podcast sites you be on. So we appreciate you, bro. But that's how you have to do it. Because that's the new way media is spread. It's not going to be through cable TV anymore. It's not going to be through network TV. It's really going to be through these podcasts, these blog sites, social media, that people can find out and hear, what you have going on. Speaking of that, one more time, sir, because I know your schedule is tight. How can people find out more about you and see the real Savant of basketball?
You can just go ahead, and I appreciate everybody that will go and subscribe. I know I keep saying it over and over and over. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your colleagues, tell your enemies, your aunt, your aunties, your mama, your grandmama, everybody. Make sure you go and subscribe to Tate's Take, the YouTube page, as well as anywhere you find your favorite podcast. If you got an iPhone and you don't have an Android, that's fine. You can find us on iTunes. If you have an Android, don't have an iPhone, that's fine. You can go and find us on Spotify or Google Podcasts. Just type in Tate's Take and you can see the podcast pull up again. That is the best and most informational and educational basketball content in the form of a podcast. If you have any problems with any of that stuff, just make sure that you find us on social media. That is on Twitter as well as on the Gram or IG or Instagram, whatever the cool kids are calling it these days, at Tate's Take Hoops, TATESTAKEHOOPS, where basketball lives.
He's a bad man.
Appreciate you, Rev, for having me on, man. It's always a pleasure. I know I can go, but I thank you so much, my brother, for bringing me on, because you know what? Black media does matter. And I'm always going to be the person that says media matters, because people act like media doesn't matter. All media matters, but black media does really matter. It really does. And what the program that you've been able to put on, and just giving me an opportunity to express something I've been wanting to do for a really long time, since I was just a little kid and didn't know who was going to be the person to put me on, to give me a chance to express my passion and my knowledge of basketball through their platform. You are one of very many people that gave me that opportunity, and I'd like to thank God that He put you in my life to give me that opportunity to do so. Thank you.
Well, brother, listen, man, I appreciate you. Appreciate all the kind words. And speaking of kind words, before you go, I got some more kind words from you. Social media, everybody kind of is chiming in, so we thank God. Speaking of black media, here's the guy who's really he's like the godfather.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But because of that, brother, and I promise I'm gonna let you go. I told you I like to talk.
This is your platform, bro. Matter of fact, get to the full screen. Bam. Go ahead.
This brother right here, brother Crenshaw. Let me tell you something. he paved the way and set the way for a lot of people, especially black media here in Atlanta. When I first got here, I saw him, and a lot of the people, these are people that I would not necessarily critique, but I'm watching and wanting to be in a lot of their positions and would have the pleasure to, want to work with them or just meet them, let alone meet them. And I'm seeing them on TV and doing their thing. And then I, start making my way up and building my resume a little bit and working with some of these people. And obviously Brother Crenshaw being a former colleague of mine, but certainly a lifelong friend and life-lasting friend of mine, and definitely picking his brain and seeing what he's been able to do in this business as well. I appreciate him just as much as anybody else, because another prime example as to why black media matters. He set the way for a lot of young people like me, and I thank God for people like that.
No doubt, brother. And we're about to bring another one of the godfathers on in just a minute. As we shift to the football side of the house. But again, Deshaun Tate, man, we appreciate all the good stuff that you're doing. We appreciate the, everything that you have, that the Lord's allowed you to do. And we appreciate Sam Crenshaw for his kind remarks. It's always, hey, man, listen, I tell people, it's always good to show the love. I mean, it really is. People don't understand how important that is, man, but showing the love is big, big, and big. All right. As I mentioned, guys, we talk a lot of basketball, talk a lot of different sports, but we all know that everybody really likes football. So we're going to transition here and make the shift over really, really quickly. Remember, you listen to the Real Talk Sports Show. We're going to take a quick break. And then, well, if you want to know who we got coming on, you got to keep it locked right here for more of the Real Talk Sports Show. Don't go nowhere now. Don't go nowhere. All right, boys and girls, we're back here. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show. For those of you on WIGO AM 1570, for those of you also listening on the free TuneIn Radio app, we appreciate each and every one of you. Of course, we also want to thank all those who are watching the show, especially those of you who are watching the replay on Periscope. We thank God for you. We thank God also for all those of you who are watching us right now live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Periscope, which of course is Twitter TV, whatever platform you're watching. We thank God for every one of you. All right, guys, let's get to football, because it's football time in the state of Georgia. And we talk football, especially pro football. We bring on the man himself, legendary, I call him legendary, accomplished, and award-winning sports writer. He is a primary beat writer for the AJC Sports with our own Atlanta Falcons. The one and only Mr. D Orlando Ledbetter, Esquire, is in the building. D-Led, what's going on, man?
Hey, Reverend Simmons, thanks for having me on Real Talk Sports. Appreciate that intro.
Well, listen, good to have you back as always. Appreciate you, man. Guys like yourself and Sam have really kind of set the bar high for all of us who have kind of tried to apply our trade in sports. So we appreciate you. And I want to toss up Sam's final comments before he jumped off here. Gave some loves and some shout outs there. And we appreciate you as well. And also, we want to be fair. One thing about Real Talk Sports, D-Led, before we get into it, we do let people kind of speak their mind. So as we go around social media, we have these comments here from Rompom on Periscope or Twitter TV that he's not too happy still with the concept of protesting. So he's not going to be watching the NFL at all. I've seen that sentiment from some people out there, but everybody's got the right to their opinion. I mean, it's a free country. And so whether you like it, don't like it, we all can agree to disagree.
Yeah, no doubt. When they say that, what they're basically saying to me is I'm fine with state-sanctioned killing of black people. So, we probably don't really need them watching the game at that point anyway.
Again, like I said, at the end of the day, I always give people room to, hold their own opinions. I'm not mad at anybody. I might disagree with you, but again, that's what the flag is really all about. If you want to get technical, that allegedly this country was all about, freedom of speech, free rights, the ability, all those Bill of Rights and the amendments are designed for this country to operate differently. Other countries, which have been dictatorships and things like that, where individuals, although they disagree or agree, have the right to speak, speak their mind. And so we appreciate Ron Palm. And we also, again, appreciate Sam Crenshaw because he said he got the popcorn out, D-Leg, because we know we're about to get into it right here. Well, listen, since you're here, let's do a couple of things first. I want to talk really briefly about the NFL Top 100. Every time that comes out, D-Led, it's always, I don't say a controversy, but everybody kind of has their opinions on who should be on there and who's been left off. So if we look at the NFL Top 100, I'm just going to read off the top 10 guys here. If I can grab those names again here off the page here. So if we look here at the top 10, actually, let's take a look at the honorable mention guys that just missed being on the list. At 101, Julian Edelman, a Patriot wide receiver. Maurice Pouncey, a guy who was a legendary center for the Steelers. Kevin Byard, the Tires site and safety, a guy that's been a big-time player. Reek Armstead, I'm surprised he wasn't in the top 100 at 104. Rodney Hudson at 105. Kyle Van Noy, linebacker from the Dolphins at 106. Matthew Judon from another linebacker from the Ravens at 107. Justin Simmons, Broncos safety at 108. DeMarcus Lawrence, a terror off the corner for the Cowboys at 109. And Leonard Fournette. These were the guys that were just outside the bubble of the NFL Top 100. So Lamar Jackson, number one overall. Patrick Mahomes, I guess, was fourth overall. What do you think about these two quarterbacks who we could be watching them for a long time, D-Led? Do you think they got it right with 1 and 4, or should it be 1, 2, or 1A and 1B?
Well, I think, the voting was done at the end of the regular season. So that's why Lamar was one. If they'd have done it after the Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure Patrick Mahomes would have been the number one vote. But both of the young quarterbacks signal a change in the league. Mobile guy who can move around, dodge the pressure, and make plays with his feet, and in Mahomes' case, with his feet and his arm. Lamar still got a ways to go. They exposed him in the playoffs again, but during the regular season, nobody did it better than Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens.
No doubt, and that's why, of course, he was the MVP of the regular season. The guy did a great job, and really kudos to the Ravens coaching staff for saying, okay, we brought this guy in here, and we're going to create an offense where he can thrive. I mean, I forgot that this guy rushed for over 1,000 yards, 1,200 yards on the ground, in addition to throwing, I believe, just over 30 touchdown passes. So, I mean, yeah, this guy really showed that it is a changing the guard. I mean, we're not gonna see quarterback play like we've seen the last really almost 50, 60 years since they've had the forward pass. We definitely are in a new era. I agree with you.
Yeah, no question about it. And his offensive coordinator is Greg Roman, who was with Colin Kaepernick at San Francisco and got them to a Super Bowl. So he knows exactly what he wants to do with the pistol-style attack, with the fakes and the throws and, the replay option, blending all that together behind a sturdy running attack. And then to add a third running back out of the backfield who can throw the ball has made them pretty much unstoppable. And so teams will adjust. They'll get all that on tape. And now, what's going to be the counter? What's going to be the counter, and how's Lamar going to handle that? How's Greg Roman going to handle that? But, yeah, exciting stuff. I know the GMs I talked to down at the Senior Bowl were in agreement that, hey, we have to start looking at the quarterback position a little bit differently. And not only Lamar and Patrick, but also the Allen kid up in Buffalo, who could run and move around and make some plays. But also, those the quarterback in New Orleans, Tyson Hill, who got in for some spot duty kind of gadget play stuff. Maybe that's the future. Maybe that's where we're headed here in the National Football League.
Well, no doubt about it. And we're going to go here and see if we can bring this up on the screen here so you guys can see. This is the top 100 list right there. If you guys can take a look at that and see that, and you will see as we go down the list, Lamar Jackson 1, Russell Wilson number 2, Aaron Donald 3, Patrick Mahomes 4, Michael Thomas, Saints wide receiver at number 5, Christian McCaffrey, the all-around back, probably one of the best all-around backs we've seen in many, many years at number 6, George Kittle, Shockingly at number 7, DeAndre Hopkins 8, Stephon Gilmore 9, Derrick Henry the Beast at 10, and then the first Atlanta Falcon to appear on the list, Julio Jones, for the first time in years, out of the top 10 at number 11. And speaking of that, D-Led, what do you think about that idea of Julio falling out of the top 10?
Well, just ludicrous here, Reverend. I was making my list here, and Pat, I only got 4, but that's plenty because the next one would be a running back. But Mahomes, and I would have Aaron Donald 2nd, Julio 3rd, and then George Kittle 4th. I really like the way he plays the game, and is real physical at that position. And so, then you would go, your top running back would be 5 for me in my top 5. But yeah, Julio, Michael Thomas, and Julio. I mean, I see every game, see the Saints every year, and he doesn't put the fear in my heart. He's running a bunch of deep possession routes. He's not blowing the top off the defense. I don't see him going 80, 60 yards or doing anything that destroy the whole fabric of the defense other than catching a bunch of checkdowns. But don't want to disrespect the numbers he's put up. He's a fine kid from Ohio State. But he doesn't strike me as that dynamic of a receiver. I think Michael Evans in Tampa is more dangerous than he is. He just had quarterback problems. So we'll see. We'll see how Michael Evans does with a really bona fide quarterback when Tom Brady gets down there.
And no doubt about that. We're going to again go back to social media. We have Leeway joining us from Twitter TV and Periscope. Give us hand hello, and I guess he just tuned in, wondering what are we talking about? We're talking about the NFL Top 100. Kind of what our sensibilities are on some of those picks. And certainly we're from the Atlanta area. The other thing, D-Led, that everybody was talking about here in the Atlanta metro area, of course, is the not even making the honorable mention in the 110, but Matt Ryan, number 2, out of the top 110. What's your thoughts about this idea? And before we do that, D-Led, let's do this really quickly. As I mentioned to you guys, we broadcast to you on all these social platforms, but we're also on local radio, WIGO AM 1570, and we're only on to 9 o'clock, so we got to say goodbye to those listeners and those of you who are listening on the TuneIn radio application. Each and every week we always say to you to please, folks, be careful out there, be safe. May the Lord bless you. And again, if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, please, ma'am, please, sir, get to know him today. On behalf of everybody at WIGO, our great producer back there, Eli Smith, does a great job if you like gospel music, because believe it or not, WIGO is a gospel station. Check him out every Monday through Friday, with the exception of Wednesdays, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. He does a wonderful show called the Eli Smith Show, where he brings you the best in gospel music from contemporary, new school, old school. Check them out again, WIGO AM 1570 on your dial, or check them out at WIGOM.com. On behalf of everybody there and our station manager, Kevin Buchanan, to WIGO listeners, God bless you and good night. But Eli, yeah, so we are going to go ahead and again, go back to social media. There is Rebel saying, what's up from Periscope? What's up, brother? We appreciate you joining in and watching us here on the Real Talk Sports Show. So yeah, D-Led, getting back to the NFL Top 100. Matt Ryan, should he have been in, or is he okay outside of the top 100 this year?
No, he should definitely be in. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I think you got to have a spot for him in the top 100. A lot of it I think had to do with the fact the Falcons were 1-7 at the bye week. They got out the gate slow, and nobody paid attention to Matt Ryan as he was leading the comeback as they went 6-2 down the stretch. So I mean, they looked they probably saw him beat San Francisco and the Saints. 2 wins over Carolina weren't that impressive. But by that point, these other kids had started moving up the ranks around the league. Patrick Mahomes was doing his thing. Russell Wilson was right there 1 yard away from beating the 49ers. Lamar was doing his thing. So at that point, people want the new thing. And that was certainly a factor in why Matt Ryan was not in the top 100.
Yeah, I think the other thing, too, is that Matt still continues to suffer from the fact that he's not a big arm slinger. You talk about Josh Allen. Here's a guy who can throw the ball probably, 70 yards in the air. Matter of fact, we might see some some shenanigans. There's been a talk about him and Patrick Mahomes having a throw-off to see who can throw the ball farther. So I'd like to see that, man. I mean, I'll tell people what I got a chance to see because I'm old. We used to grow up, D-Led, not too far away from where the Jets used to practice down in Hofstra. I got a chance to see the great Joe Namath in person, and he threw a ball to the late Eddie Bell, and the ball traveled approximately 75 yards in the air. It was the most spectacular thing I ever saw in my life. So these guys that have these big arms, man, it can be done. But yeah, Matt is a guy that gets overlooked quite a bit. Some of the players feel that, and you've heard this from time to time when players talk about him, they feel as a quarterback he's done less with more. And I think that's because of Julio's greatness. That a lot of people just take him for granted. They go, well, he doesn't have the arm. Julio makes a lot of plays, but I tell people, hey man, somebody has to throw the ball to him. I mean, so this idea that he somehow is substandard, I think it's lost in the sauce. And it's interesting. I'm just rating here of quarterbacks. I think it was in the fantasy quarterbacks. They had Lamar Jackson, of course, 1 overall. Mahomes just inches behind him. Kyler Murray, interestingly enough, 3rd. Dak Prescott 4th. Deshaun Watson 5th. Russell Wilson 6th. Tom Brady 7th. And Matt Ryan in the number 8 spot. So, like you said, man, I mean, Matty Ice, he doesn't get the love, brother. I mean, people just sometimes think it's a personal thing.
Well, it was early on in his career in Indianapolis, Peyton Manning, all those same things were said about him. Not a big arm, just cerebral, can't run. And then he went on and won him a couple of Super Bowls, and Matt should have one already, but we know what happened there. Maybe he can get him 1, maybe 2, and silence all this madness, because that's what it is. It's just utter disrespect and madness. When you look at where the franchise was in 2007, with the quarterback going to jail, and him coming in and taking that team immediately to the playoffs in 4 of the first 5 years. Then they learned that they had to learn how to win the playoffs, and that's what Lamar's learning right now too. So once they did that, they were able to progress a little bit and get to the big game. Now they're in a different fight, trying to get back to the playoffs. And then, now they know exactly what they need to do to finish out some, games on the big stage.
There's no doubt about it. If you look at Matt Ryan, I talked to somebody the other day. I said, okay, great. He doesn't have the biggest arm in the world. I get it. He's not he's coming behind a guy who's probably one of the most electrical fine players in NFL history. And now, of course, Lamar Jackson's following them same footsteps. I mean, but at the end of the day, you hit it on the head. The guy's been a winner. I mean, here's what I asked somebody. I said, back when Matt Ryan was drafted 3rd, there were a lot of people that wanted the big lineman. I can't call it, and I think out of Auburn, I can't remember, and I'm drawing a blank. A lot of people wanted a defensive lineman.
Glenn Dorsey.
Right. So a lot of people were bad in shape. If you said to people then, hey, we guarantee you in a decade that this guy we picked is going to get to the playoffs 6 times, NFC Championship twice, the Super Bowl once, be an MVP 1 time, would you sign up for that? Every Falcons fan from here to London would have said, we'll take it.
Yes, no doubt about it.
And that's what he's done. So speaking of Matt Ryan and the Falcons, D-Lad, I saw some of the footage you had up from the practice. It kind of reminds me of NBA. It looked really weird. What kind of vibe were you getting as far as the players' intensity and kind of what was going on out there back on the field?
Yeah, really, really weird, Reverend. They, I was counting everybody. They got them spaced out, 5 yards apart. Like somebody's on the goal line, somebody's on the 5, somebody's on the 10, and they're all the way down the field in groups of over 3 fields. So it's 4 lines of 20. That's how you get up to 80. And they're working in unison, like 1 line will go, then the 2nd line will go, then the 3rd line will go, the 4th line will go. So the intensity is not very high. Looks like a pro athletes at gym class type of deal. And my takeaway from it is that we're a long, long way from the football season. We got, I've been following the numbers from the league pretty closely. We got 90 people on the reserve COVID-19 list. 30 have been activated from it, including Matthew Stafford from the former Georgia quarterback. They say that his was a false positive. We have 52 players just straight up out of the season, and they've got, to Thursday at 4 o'clock to do that. So the numbers are 90 on the list, have been on the list. 30 have come off the list, so that's a net 60. And then we got 52 that are not going to play at all this year. So that's one team. That's 60 plus 52. Every team's supposed to have 90 in camp. So we're already down one team, and a lot of young guys are going to get a chance to play in the watered-down NFL this year.
Yes, you just mentioned that number. So before I come on the air, the number that I saw before is 49. So you're saying 3 more players now have opted out of this season. Now, what I'm hearing is that, at least what I read, it looks like I'm looking at the NFLPA site that these guys will get some compensation, almost similar to what we had as normal citizens with the Payroll Protection Act. Is that kind of the right way to put it? These guys will still be compensated if they say, look, we got to opt out for personal and for medical reasons?
Yes, but unlike the stimulus package, they have to repay that money, whether they're playing in the league or not in 2021. So to help you get through this period, they're not paying you to do nothing. They're going to help you with your bills basically, and expect reimbursement when you are able to play again, even the health risk guys.
That's interesting, because really what that means is a guy that's at that lower tier, that lower rung, who I think, what's the base salary now? Is it $500,000 base salary or 400,000? What is it for?
450, yeah.
450. Okay, so that means the guys at 450, when he's got to make the team when he comes back, because I think I read something he can get up to $150,000. Mm-hmm. I mean, that means, buddy, you got to come back and play.
Yeah,
and play at a high level.
No doubt. And some older guys, they may lose it. CJ Mosley's been in the league for a while.
Right.
Dante Hightower's been in the league for a while. I don't know. Guess he's running around staying in shape. Maybe he doesn't make it back. Chandler Brewer, he's a kid with the Rams, made it last year as an undrafted guy, tackle, but he had Hodgkin's disease. So he beat cancer once. He's not trying to beat it again. So, he's sitting out. He's opting out. So you'll know a lot of people got asthma in their family, and the kids got asthma. So that's some of the other reasons. But the league is trying to, the people that want to play, they're trying to make them as safe as possible. But my observation from the first 2 days of the observation camp is that we're a long way from football.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me, man. It just looks really odd. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to see, for those of you who are watching us here on Facebook and on Periscope, I'm going to try to see if I can pull up here on the split screen, let you guys take a look at what D-Led was looking at earlier today. We're going to go to the Falcons YouTube page and see if we can get you a little bit of that footage so you guys can kind of get a feel for the look and the sound of what was going on there on the field. So we're going to go to that in just a moment here, and we'll get that for you so you guys can take a look. All right, and here we go. So this is going to be a look here, guys, from what you see here. This is what D-Led was looking at here on the field. That's your overhead look there. They got the drones out.
They got the drone out.
Yep. So that was a little bit of the Falcons training camp. I wanted you guys to take a look at that. And there might be an interview coming right behind that. But I just wanted you guys to take a look at what D-Led was seeing here.
I've been looking at some of your workout films and stuff like that, doing the stuff on the hill. We're running those routes.
This is a
And
little bit from
talk
Calvin
about
Ridley.
your off-season workout plan, some of the things that you were working on, what you feel like you improved upon, and just talk a little bit about those workouts.
Yeah, I've really been working on like pretty much everything, but really my legs, get my legs a lot stronger, trying to get my knees up more, be a little faster. Routes and my hands. I bought a jug machine for the house. I've been in there getting crazy amount of jugs in. And my legs, so my cuts are like really good. I'm really strong in my legs, and I want to be running through them, man. And that has to do with me, doing it all year long. So all season, I have to continue to like squat, do a lot of leg work to keep my, my legs and my cuts really crisp.
Yeah, you gotta look at that shirt real close. I thought it said Brotherhood at first, and then I got a note from the office that it said something else.
Said something else. Okay, well,
Mother, shut your mouth.
All right, there you go.
The vowels missing. So the young kids do it differently. They'll just spell it out.
Yeah,
but that's code for he wants to be that this year, he said.
Well, there's the other thing too is, D Orlando, of course, you were there, so it's interesting to me that the similarities between the Calvin Ridley draft and the Julio Jones draft. Now, obviously, I'm not putting him in the same category, but ironically, Julio was the exact same age that Roddy was when the Falcons drafted him at number 1, and immediately he was able to come and make an impact. And certainly, Calvin Ridley, as far as touchdowns, did the same thing. He's immediately come in and been able to get into the end zone, actually even more than Julio. So what do you think the prospects are going forward for Ridley? How far do you think he can improve, and can he get to that next step to be a top-tier NFL receiver?
Well, yeah, no question about it. My story's up online right now on AJC.com. Calvin Ridley coming back, trying to get that elusive 1,000 yards. He came up a little short last year, got hurt, didn't play the last 3 games, had a good season, but now he's the number 2 receiver. Julio's number 1, Mohamed Sanu's out of the way. And so he said, I'm thinking there's going to be a few more balls and a lot more yards available for me. So he really thinks he's on his way to, a 1,000-yard season and maybe even more. So I've tracked him to compare him with Marvin Harrison, the great wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. Marvin and Calvin have had the same number of catches the first couple years, but even last year, Marvin who really had more touchdowns than Harrison and a few more yards in less games. So this is the time for him to blow it out. Roddy White didn't do really big things until his 3rd year in the league too. But you could see in those first couple of years that he was coming and that he had a chance to reach his high ceiling. And you see that also with Calvin Ridley.
Stay right with the receivers. How have we seen much of Hayden Hurst? And 2 things. Do you think he can give us the same type of production or more than we got from Austin Hooper?
He's a big kid. I saw him standing right next to Julio, and he towers over Julio. I mean, he's huge, and he's a big-bodied kid, and can run and move. So, yeah, guys look good in shorts and T-shirts. I want to see him play some football. That seems that, he played pretty good at South Carolina. Everything I got on him is pretty good stuff. He got behind in Baltimore with a high ankle sprain, and Mark Andrews took over that spot. So he kind of got beat out in Baltimore while he was available. So, but yeah, he looks the part here in media observation days. So it'll be a matter of getting him on the. We're not gonna get to see him playing football until September the 13th against Seattle, and he's gonna have to go heads with Jamal Adams. So we'll know right away if he's any good.
No doubt. And what do you think, speaking of that, this whole hype they keep mentioning about the fact that Falcons have, what they said they're starting 10 or 11 first-rounders. I mean, does that mean anything?
Not really, because if the first-rounders can't play, it doesn't matter much. But they got 18 overall since they signed Darqueze Dennard. But you know, some of the first rounders can play. You can go out. You can go Jake Matthews, James Carpenter, Alex Mack, McGarry. All of those are first rounders. You know, even though Carpenter was with Seattle and Alex Mack with the Browns, but all 5 of those are first rounders. You can go Julio Ridley at wideout, Hayden Hurst tight end. You can go Gurley and Matt Ryan at running back, and you could throw Laquan Treadwell in there and start 11 first rounders. Put 3 receivers and 1 back, and you can open the season with that.
Oh, no doubt, and there's no question that if this was just a regular situation, a normal season, the Falcons they would be something to really contend with, because you're right. If you look at this team, the way especially this offense is constructed, they have something good. Now, speaking of constructed, how about reconstruction? Saw some clips of Con O'Neill. Have you seen him around the camp yet? And do you know more about what his status is as far as his recovery?
Yeah, I saw him today. I was watching him and Ricardo Allen lead the defensive back drills, and he's backpedaling and pushing off on that Achilles. He's not taking a full load, it doesn't look like, in the warm-up and stuff, and in the drill part of it. He's doing all the warming up and stuff. But I'm pretty sure they got him on a pretty close leash as he tries to come back from that Achilles. But he looked good weight-wise, and you know, he's one of the guys that doesn't wear any sleeves, so you can see his muscles and everything. So, yeah, he looked pretty good out there today. I made sure to find him. I didn't find him on the first day because we're so far away. We need binoculars and so forth. So, remember to bring your binoculars if you come out this year, Reverend Simmons.
I was going to ask you about that because, you know, just looked at all the shots. It looked like, was there no camera near the field because everything was way out? So basically, where do they actually have us stationed when we come out to Flowery Branch?
Well, they got that tent still in the parking lot, and then they walk us up to the hill, the top of the hill where the fans usually sit.
Okay,
and,
got it.
they spread out up there because they can get a thing with a beeper on it, and if somebody comes within 6 feet of you, that beeper goes off. So
proximity alert.
That's to help trace all of us in the media. If somebody in the media gets it, then, you know, they can notify us that we were around them and so forth. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's a different setup altogether.
Now, the other thing is I want to ask you, and I know we're kind of getting near your end of time here on the interview, but as far as interviewing players on more of a one-on-one basis, are they doing a Zoom? Are they having you in a separate room from the rostrum? What are they doing as far as if you want to hear more from the players?
Well, we're Zooming. They actually do Microsoft Teams, and we made some individual requests. There's going to be no in-person interviews. We made some requests for some phone interviews, and then, you know, we're old reporters. We got our own phone numbers, unless they start telling people that don't talk to the media, which might be the case. But you know, if they don't make them available, if we can't rely on their availability to cover the team. But you know, we certainly will take advantage of that. But it's like today, they signed Darqueze Dennard on Monday. They won't make them available, and then the coach doesn't speak till Friday. I mean, that breaking news is old by then. Fans want to know what Darqueze feels about coming for the team. How's he going to fit? He's from Twiggs County. We got like a whole list of questions for Darqueze, and now we got to save him to Friday to try to get the coach to talk about him. But, hey, that's the world we're living in with the fangled setup.
Yeah, there's no doubt that we are in the new normal. So, like I said, I want to get a feel from you because I knew you'd be right in the middle of it and get some sensibility on the protocol. You said some Microsoft Team. Okay, well, I need to figure out how that works. Well, listen, man, as always, I appreciate you taking time out with us. You know, we're on kind of late, and I know you got the cover 9 on 9, a lot of stuff that you have to do. So. before you go, let people know how they can, first of all, get that information, because that's hot off the press every Wednesday, and how people can follow you on social media, because you do a lot in terms of tweeting what's happening in real time.
Well, thank you, Reverend Simmons. Yes, my Twitter is at D Orlando AJC. We'll post everything on our website, ajc.com. We'll ask you to bookmark your Falcons page. You can go right there. Our Facebook page is Atlanta Falcons News Now. We have the Cover 9 at 9 blog that drops every Wednesday at 9 a.m. on ajc.com. And then preceding that, we do the podcast, the Bowtie Chronicles. We're up to episode 203. We got to get that done here tonight or early in the morning tomorrow.
Well, that's why I always appreciate you, D-Leg, because I know you're up against the deadline, so I'm not going to hold you any further. Listen, man, we appreciate all you do. We appreciate you taking time out with us. The fans love it because you're bringing them really stuff that they can't get anywhere else. So, like I said, man, we're very appreciative to you. And just God bless you. Be safe out there, brother. And hopefully I'll be able to see you maybe like at least like 10 feet apart or something if I can get up to Flowery Branch.
They're fine. Well,
all
yeah.
right.
Simmons, I certainly appreciate you having me on Real Talk Sports. You take care and stay safe, brother.
Thank you, sir. You be blessed. That's D Orlando Ledbetter. He is, again, award-winning sports writer. He is legendary because if you go to any Falcons press conference, he is the guy that gets the first question in, no matter who's in there. I don't care if ESPN's in the house. I don't care if Fox Sports is in the house. If you were at a Falcons post-game press conference, if you were at a Falcons anything where a Falcons coach or player is on the rostrum, D Orlando Ledbetter, if he is there, he gets the first question. That is his honored and position as the embedded beat writer for AJC Sports. And we thank God again that he takes time out of his schedule to come in here and join us and bring you guys the latest and greatest on what's going on with your Atlanta Falcons. As you can see, it's not, this is like some kind of a weird kind of thing we got going on. Players are kind of doing this social distancing thing. It really does look like he said, like more like a phys ed class. Again, we understand that they're trying to be safe. All right, we get it. And we know that they have to play. Well, I should say they have to, but they need to play because of contractual obligations. The media outlets have paid billions of dollars, and there's no way they're going to let these guys talk about we're not going to play on television. They're going to let them go ahead and do what they got to do. And I'm just wondering what kind of football we're going to see. And the same thing with high school. High school players, they're already out and about doing their thing. So I think that's going to be very, very interesting as well. So, yeah, man, it's going to be something here as we go forward in this year here. And before we let you go, because we're getting towards the end of the broadcast, for you Falcons fans here, you probably guys have seen this already on social media. I'm going to try to pull this back up on the screen. You heard me talk earlier about Connell Neal coming back. We're going to see if we can get you guys a quick look at that on the screen so you guys can take a peek at Connell and to see him, kind of as part of his rehab here. So we're going to go to that right now. We're going to pop this up on the screen and let you guys take a look. There is Connell Neal right there doing his thing there on the field. And you can see that he looks good. He's in pretty good shape. So that was a little bit of Connell Neal right there as you guys were able to take a look at him and see what he's doing on his way to come back. I think that if he's able to get on the field, he's got a good shot to be comeback player of the year. Very intense, very nice young man. So it'll be good to see him be able to come back again. Second time him dealing with major injuries. Like almost near career-ending injuries. So we thank God that he has got that drive to want to come back out here and play some football. Well, guys, as we're coming towards the home stretch here on the Real Talk Sports Show, again, we want to give big shout-outs to everybody who's been watching us here on social media, on Facebook Live. We appreciate the comments from Periscope. We thank God for those of you who are on Periscope watching the replay. We love you, and we appreciate you so much. We appreciate all the different groups that allow us to share this broadcast on Facebook. A lot of times with groups, if you're not doing something that's exactly kind of related to their group, it's kind of like they get you out of there. But we thank God that we are able to be on all these various platforms here and we're able to share this broadcast with, with you guys, man. Because like I said, without you, we would not be doing a daggone thing. We wouldn't be able to make it here on this broadcast, and we wouldn't be able to expand the broadcast that we've been able to do. So again, we thank you for allowing us to come on here and be a part of your Tuesday evening. Now, we got some good stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be talking more about sports and the economics of sports in the next couple of weeks. We're bringing actually a sports expert from Forbes magazine is going to be joining us. Also, we're going to get you guys a look at what a player actually is going through in this new situation here with COVID. We have a young man from my hometown. I'm from Norwalk, Connecticut. Matter of fact, big shout out to the I grew up in Norwalk page and the Brian McMahon graduate page. I am a proud graduate of Brian McMahon High School in Norwalk, Connecticut. And we thank God for those of you who are watching on that page. We thank God for those of you who are watching on the Washington Village reunion page. That was the housing project I grew up in called Washington Village. After years and years of trying, they have now started demolishing it and making way to some high-priced condos, because growing up in Connecticut in a project is a little different than growing up in a project maybe in New York or Chicago. We lived right on the coastline on Long Island Sound. So originally when our projects were built back in the 30s, it was literally right across from where they mined oysters. And so when we got there, that business had pretty much was died out. But the bad thing is being that close to the water and fish and oysters, low tide stunk. And that's why nobody really wanted to be there. It was kind of partial, half landfill, half low tide situation. But there's something about being on the water. And so consequently, what they realize is that condos or any type of housing there where those projects are would be worth a lot of money. So they finally got a leverage buyout from the Housing Authority of the city of Norwalk. And they had a lot of places to fall into disrepair over the last 15, 20 years anyway. So anyway, make a long story short, again, big thanks and shout out to those of you who are watching on the Washington Village reunion page. You got to be proud of your boy. At least I hope you are. A Washington Village resident for most of my young life. Many memories there on the blacktop. Matter of fact, that's where I first got my start, unbeknownst to me, about doing sportscasting and sports broadcasting. As a young, chubby guy of, I guess from 11 through 14, my window overlooked a little basketball court. We had a little hardtop basketball court there. And so all the guys would come out and play. And of course, being as chubby as I wasn't too good playing basketball. But I grew up watching the late Howard Cosell. And so I would literally open up my window and broadcast and do the play-by-play of the games. I'd make up nicknames for everybody. So for all those of you, Ray Duncan and Earl Lee and my brother Freddie Bogus, all you guys that played basketball there, little brothers, all you guys, the Smalls. See, who knew? Who knew that Big John would turn out to be a sports broadcaster? Well, again, our time is about ending right now. Just want to share that love with you, some personal moments. And of course, be some personal moments. I'm also the minister. That's why it says right underneath there, let me get my hand right, Minister Jonathan Simmons. Can you see it right there? I am a real live minister. So before I go and leave the broadcast, we got to do something a little different. We got to ask you a question. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and citizens, do you have a personal relationship with mighty Jehovah God through knowing his son, Jesus Christ? Now I'm going to give you his government name, Yahashua HaMashiach. That means, Yahashua means God is with us, because he was actually with us, walked on the earth as a man. And Mashiach means Messiah or Savior. So that's how you get to know God. You get to know his son, Jesus Christ. And it's real simple how this works. First of all, you have to believe that he came down here upon this earth and was fully God and fully man, and that he took all of your sins and took them to the cross where he died, and then was resurrected, raised from the dead. And I know you're saying, brother, that's a lot of moving parts you're talking here, but it's true. If you believe in that, you, ma'am and sir, if you repent of your sins, you will now become two things. You will become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven and a real bona fide adopted child of God. What that means to you, big time benefits. Number one, you can live a life more well lived here upon the earth. And number two, that is your pathway into the happy place called heaven. When you leave here and when you die, you get to live again in a place called heaven. Now, here's the cool thing. I read some descriptions about heaven. It is supposed to be the coolest thing around. You've never seen anything like it. Streets of gold that are so pure, the gold streets are translucent. And for you ladies who like jewelry, every conceivable type of rare jewel will be available and on display in heaven. Even the gates themselves will be made of one giant pearl. How cool is that? And it's also the escape, get out of jail free card from going to the other place that starts with an H called hell. Nobody wants to go there. Fiery, hot, bad, forever. So it's your choice. Get to know them today. I want to say to you also that I hope that through all this stuff that's going on, the pandemic, the protests, some of us or watching this might have dealt with depression. I know myself, I kind of became like an addict of Netflix. That's why Netflix is worth all this money, because when you stay at home and you get all this bad news, you look for escape. So my escape has been Asian and other nationalities, African, soap operas, nighttime soap operas. Who knew? That's what I've been watching. But it's been a great blessing to me to some degree, because it's kept my mind off all the crazy stuff going on. But nevertheless, that's a fantasy world. We want you who are listening to rest in the assurance that God can get you through the toughest of things. And this is tough, because I'm not going to say it's going to end tomorrow, because with the elections coming up, things can get real snarky. But I want to encourage you to say, hang in there, believe that God loves you, put your trust in him, and you'll be able to get through the times, no matter how difficult and how dark they are. I've went through 2 operations in the last 2 years. Both of them lasted for almost 5 hours. I had hospital stays of 13 days apiece. And in each time, I had spent almost a week or 4 or 5 days each time on IV, no food at all, just on IV drip. And look, he brought me back. Now I actually got too much weight. Again, I have to lose weight. So if he's done it for me, he can do it for you. All right, guys, I hope that stuff encourages you. If you want more encouragement, more biblical teaching, you can tune in to me tomorrow on something called the Clarion Call Show. I do it every Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. where I put on my ministerial hat and break out hopefully some inspiration and some instruction from the Bible in plain English. Okay. All right, guys. Well, we got to go now. I've said that 2 or 3 times. Preachers kind of do that a lot. We say we're leaving, and then we always have like a sidebar. But we are, in fact, wrapping up here. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening. Until next time, God bless you and have a good night. So long now.